A headline, a microphone, and a question that refuses to tiptoe. Are you going to become a U.S. citizen? That's how it landed. Not couched, not careful. And Prince Harry didn't blink. There are no plans to be at this point, he said with the matter-of-fact calm of someone who knew the clip would rocket around the world in minutes. It did. And for an audience that's watched 5 years of speculation about visas, residency, and royal identity, those 12 words felt like a turning key. Not a door opening, not a door slamming, but a lock finally clicking into place. Let's set the scene properly. The question wasn't floated at a red carpet scrum or hidden in a printed Q&A. It arrived in a rapid-fire segment on Hassan Minhaj's podcast, a setting where jokes and jolts coexist and candor either thrives or collapses. Harry had been asked lighter things: surfing, accents, American quirks. When the citizenship query cut through the banter, the delivery was plain, the phrasing was deliberate, and the subtext was unmistakable. After years of "I've considered it" and "not a high priority," the Duke of Sussex put a flag on the map. For now, no. Why did that land like news? Because in February 2024, he publicly acknowledged the idea had crossed his mind. That earlier moment was intriguing. Not quite a plan, not quite a denial. It kept the story alive. Royal watchers diagrammed timelines, immigration lawyers weighed in on hypotheticals, and columnists debated symbolism. Meanwhile, life went on. California mornings, school drop-offs, board meetings, a vacuum of official detail filled with confident guesses. Today's answer finally punctured the fog. No plans. Not now. And yet it doesn't erase the past hints. It reframes them. The line from considered to no plans is not a contradiction. It's progression. People consider all kinds of things. Plans are different. Here's the emotional architecture beneath that sentence. On one side sits identity, the gravity of birthplace, family, history, and the standing promise that he will always be someone to whom Britain is not merely a dot on a passport, but a pillar in the mind. On the other sits reality. 5 years living in the United States, parenting in a different culture, building businesses and charities with American partners, and finding rituals that make new roots feel sturdy. Surf wax, carpools, pumpkin patches, Halloween chaos. Ask anyone who's emigrated. You can love two truths at once. Harry's reply lives in that duality. Not rejection, not embrace. A held note between. But this isn't just a vibe check. It is also a policy story, a law story, and a money story. Naturalization in the U.S. is not merely filing a form, it's a path with gates, permanent residency, continuous residence, physical presence, background and good moral character reviews, English and civics tests, and the oath of allegiance. That oath carries a rarely discussed clause. If you hold a hereditary title, you must explicitly renounce it in the ceremony. In practice, that's a U.S. legal ritual, not a British eraser. Britain would still recognize its own titles. But imagine the optics of a duke renouncing duke at a federal dais, then walking out to a press pack hungry for symbolism. You don't need a media degree to see why no plans might be the most strategic truth available. This answer also lands in the long shadow of a parallel noise machine, the fight over whether his immigration records should be made public. Lawsuits, filings, redactions. It's the kind of slow-burn litigation that produces headlines without resolution. During that skirmish, officials emphasized privacy norms and rejected the idea of special treatment. Courts released heavily redacted material, enough to confirm process without inviting a blow-by-blow. Each development fed speculation about what kind of visa he holds and what it would take to change it. Questions that are at once legitimate and almost impossible to settle without the subject's participation. Which brings us back to why a 12-word answer matters. It stops the rumor wheel from claiming velocity where there is none. Let's talk stakes. For the monarchy, citizenship isn't a line of succession switch. British nationality isn't a requirement to remain in line, but perception is politics. A U.S. passport for a son of the king would trigger debates that stretch from constitutional trivia to cultural identity. Would it be unusual? Yes. Unprecedented? No, not in the broader world, but rare in the Windsor context. Would he need to renounce titles at the American oath? Yes, expressly in the U.S. ceremony. Would the UK view him differently the next morning? Not in law. Would commentary treat it like a referendum on his relationship with Britain? Absolutely. That's the calculus no plans simplifies. Now add family. The couple's children are growing up with transatlantic footprints, one born in the UK, the other born in California. Their lives, like so many third culture kids, will be fluent in two sets of holidays, two rhythms of humor, two ways of reading the same headline. For parents who've described the benefits of privacy, consistency, and community, citizenship chatter isn't an abstraction. It can shape schoolyard questions and search engine results for years. When a parent says no plans, they're not only speaking to the cameras, they're telling their kids this is where the adults are with it, today, and about those American habits. You don't learn the coastal break just to win public points. You do it because waves force a kind of presence no press cycle can give you. Joking about an accent or refusing to wear shorts in restaurants isn't policy. It's a personality breadcrumb, but those crumbs accumulate into a picture. A man who has not gone undercover in America, but who lives here. If he'd wanted to dampen that fact, he wouldn't show up on a comedian's podcast to volley through cultural inside jokes. Instead, he embraced the format, and then, when it counted, gave a straight answer that sent editors scrambling for the bold font. So here's what part one leaves you with: a clarified present tense. The Duke of Sussex is not on a citizenship track right now. The reasons are layered: legal, symbolic, familial, and practical. And the setting he chose telegraphed all of that. Modern, candid, lightly comic, then, surgically, clear. In a story often told as an argument between countries, he offered something quieter and truer. Not a border, a boundary. That difference will guide everything we unpack next. Law, the oath, and the optics. 12 words just crashed into a century-old oath. There are no plans to be at this point. Now set that beside the naturalization ceremony that every new American faces. The moment when you raise your right hand and promise not just loyalty to a constitution, but if you carry a hereditary title, to renounce it aloud. Imagine that visual, a duke stating on U.S. federal record that he renounces a title Britain still legally recognizes. The oath doesn't reach across the Atlantic and erase a peerage. But cameras don't film constitutional nuance. They film moments. Suddenly you see why no plans isn't evasive. It's strategic clarity. Let's map the path that would even make that oath relevant. Naturalization isn't a vibe, it's a sequence. First, you need lawful permanent residency, the green card. Then a clock starts. Continuous residence and physical presence thresholds, a state of residence minimum, plus English and civics tests, and a good moral character review. For most applicants, the timeline is 5 years as a permanent resident. There's a shorter 3-year lane for spouses of U.S. citizens, but it still requires that green card first, plus proof of a real marital union, and at least 18 months physically present in America within those 3 years. No green card, no clock. No clock, no ceremony, and therefore no title clause. Now the stakes behind those thresholds. Continuous residence and physical presence sound like synonyms. They're not. Think of continuous residence as the unbroken storyline of your life in the U.S., the way your bills, leases, and travel patterns prove you live here. Think of physical presence as the days on the ground count. Long absences, especially the kind that swallow seasons, can reset one or both calculations and send you back to page 1. For global figures with international calendars, those numbers matter. The math can be merciless. Then comes the moment that electrifies headlines. The oath of allegiance. Everyone promises support and defense of the Constitution. But for anyone who has borne a hereditary title or belonged to an order of nobility, there's an extra sentence, an express renunciation of that title. In practice, this doesn't strip a British honor and British law. The UK decides its own titles. But the American record would immortalize the renunciation, spoken by the applicant, captured in the court transcript, For a royal, that recording becomes a lifetime soundbite, legally routine, symbolically volcanic. Here's where symbolism collides with succession. Citizenship doesn't control Britain's line of succession. Descent and religion do. You can live in Montecito, speak with a California lilt, and still remain where the law places you in the queue. Titles can be limited, withdrawn, not used, and yet the birthright place in line remains unless Parliament and the Commonwealth realms change the rules. That's why the oath's renunciation clause is mostly about American optics, not British law. One is a ceremony in a U.S. courtroom, the other is a tapestry stitched by centuries of statutes and precedent. If you're wondering how we even know the present tense facts, here's the trail. A rapid-fire podcast segment posed the question without padding. The answer, no plans, closed the loop on years of speculation that began back in early 2024, when he said he had considered citizenship, but it wasn't a high priority. Between then and now, paperwork in the public domain marked a separate milestone. An official change of primary residence to the United States in business filings dated to mid-2023. That's residency, not nationality. But in a media ecosystem that treats paperwork like plot twists, the two were often conflated. The new quote sorts them. Home is one thing, a passport is another. There's a second noise machine you need to decode. The immigration records litigation. A conservative advocacy group pushed in court to force disclosure of his U.S. visa details. The result? Heavily redacted documents and officials emphasizing that privacy norms apply and that there's no evidence of special treatment. Translation: the public got process, not particulars. So the visa guesswork continued. O1, E2, something else? Lawyers argued on cable. Commentators spoke with certainty that exceeded the source material. In that vacuum, no plans isn't just about naturalization. It's a way of shutting down a rumor engine that feasts on hypotheticals. Now the money layer? Because citizenship is also a tax identity. U.S. citizens and resident aliens are taxed on worldwide income. With a green card or sufficient days in the country, you typically enter that tax universe already. The distinction is subtle but important. Naturalization doesn't create the obligation. Tax residency often does. For someone living year-round in America, that ship likely sailed years ago. Still, the optics of becoming a U.S. voter and passport holder would invite a second conversation. Not about whether you file and pay, but about what it says to do so as a member of Britain's most watched family. So place all of that in a single frame. Legal gates, title optics, succession constants, privacy battles, and tax realities. Against that complexity, the most honest sentence is also the most efficient. There are no plans to be at this point. It doesn't foreclose the future. It acknowledges the present, and it respects the fact that family, law, and symbolism must share the same room. And that room gets very small when a microphone is on. Call this chapter an anatomy of restraint. Not every door you could open is a door you should. For now, the citizenship path stays theoretical, the oath stays hypothetical, and the cameras move on. If the day ever comes when the choice flips from considered to planned, it won't be because a headline demanded it. It will be because the law, the life, and the message aligned. Until then, the most revealing answer is the one he already gave. Scenarios and trade-offs. The paths he could take and why no plans make sense. Start with 3 doors. Door 1, status quo. Live, work, parent, and build in the U.S. without changing nationality. Door 2, permanent residency. Plant deeper legal roots with a green card, still not a citizen. Door 3, naturalization. Take the oath, accept the passport, shoulder the symbolism. Each door leads to a different room. Each room rearranges the furniture of law, optics, and family life. His answer, there are no plans to be at this point, isn't a shrug. It's a choice to stay in the doorway while the world argues over which room he should enter. Door 1. Stay as is. The virtues of the status quo are invisible because they're quiet. You keep personal paperwork private, you avoid the theater of an oath that would be spliced into clips forever, and you don't turn a bureaucratic act into a referendum on loyalty. In practical life, very little changes. The morning school run, the work calls, the beach days, the charity events. The public keeps speculating, but speculation without movement becomes yesterday's news. It's the lowest drama, highest stability option, and stability is a form of strategy. Door 2, permanent residency. This is the green card lane. It deepens the legal foundation. Residence that is more than I live here and less than I'm one of you. For many global families, it's the sweet spot, the ability to stay, work, and move through life without making the leap to the oath. But residency is not a hammock. It's a status you maintain with care. Long absences can complicate it. Paper trails matter, and once you hold it, you've entered a U.S. tax universe that measures your life not by headlines, but by days on the ground. Quiet on camera, meticulous on paper. Door 3, naturalization. This is the only path that triggers the moment everyone thinks about when they hear the word citizenship. The right hand raised, the words I absolutely and entirely renounce and abjure all allegiance spoken in a public room. For someone with a hereditary title, there is even an extra line, an explicit renunciation of that title within the American oath. Legally, Britain's system doesn't evaporate because a U.S. script says a sentence. British law governs British titles, but the optics, the frame that lasts, would be indelible. A duke saying, I renounce on U.S. federal record. That single soundbite would outlive 1,000 clarifications. Now fold in the succession reality. Citizenship and succession aren't Siamese twins. The line is set by descent and statute, not passport color. You could walk out of a U.S. courtroom with a new nationality and remain exactly where you were in Britain's order of succession the next morning. So the debate here isn't legal mechanics, it's meaning. What would the act say? To admirers, it might read as a practical acknowledgement of where life is lived. To critics, a statement louder than any interview. To the subject himself, perhaps something more modest. A paperwork crossing that isn't worth the storm. Scenario A. Remain non-citizen, no green card, long-term. This is the maximum flexibility plan. Travel remains easier to tailor. Privacy screens stay up. The public discourse cools because there's nothing new to animate it. The trade-off is that some conveniences never quite unlock. Voting, certain public roles, and the symbolic access that a passport silently confers. But convenience isn't the throne of adulthood. Plenty of settled people never seek citizenship. The decisive factor is whether the symbol adds more benefit than burden. Scenario B, acquire a green card, skip naturalization. This is the realist's upgrade. Legal permanence without the oath's spotlights. It stabilizes the family's administrative life, home loans, travel re-entry, long-term planning, while keeping the most volatile clip off the table. The risks are managerial, not existential. Keep the residence evidence clear, respect the absence rules, and remember that residency is a track you maintain, not an heirloom you store. Scenario C, go all the way, naturalize. Where it shines, voting, civic identity, symbolic belonging. For many immigrants, this moment is sacrosanct, a life's arc landing on a dais. For a globally recognized figure with a title, it's messier. The oath's title renunciation clause enters the chat. Headlines become Rorschachs. Analysts debate what the act means for Britain, for the family, for history, for everything. And the biggest irony, in strict British law, very little might change the next day. The change would live in the story, not the statute. Did you know the U.S. naturalization path actually has 2 clocks that matter more than almost anything? Continuous residence? Do you truly live here? And physical presence? How many days have you actually been here? They sound interchangeable. They're not. One measures the rhythm of your life, the other counts its beats. For someone who travels often, those numbers can be the difference between file now and start over. Which is to say, sometimes no plans is less a philosophy than a calendar decision. Layer in one more pressure chamber, privacy, litigation, and visa speculation. When redacted records hit daylight and officials point to no special treatment, the public gets processed without particulars. That vacuum invites 1,000 confident guesses. every one of them a magnet for outrage. In that climate, declining to announce a citizenship plan is not coy, it's protective hygiene. You cannot stop people from reading tea leaves. You can stop adding new leaves to the cup. The tax lens sharpens the same conclusion. In the US, citizens and many non-citizen residents already live inside a worldwide income system. For families with cross-border work, tax professionals become members of the household. Naturalization changes the symbol of belonging far more than the arithmetic of filing. If the arithmetic is largely the same either way, why trigger the symbolism unless you must? Let's walk the edge cases everyone loves to armchair. Just naturalize and renounce the title? Who cares? People who will slice that clip into a lifetime cudgel. That's who. You can't unutter an oath. Stay forever non-citizen. It proves a point. Points aren't passports. If circumstance changes, law, security, schooling, you've painted yourself into a corner. Green card solves everything. It solves a lot, but not the commentary, and you've still got the residence math to respect. So we return to the microphone moment. A straight question, a straight answer. No plans to be at this point. Translate that from headlines to human. Right now, the costs of the oath, legal ritual plus cultural shrapnel, outweigh the benefits. Right now, the green card lane either isn't the priority or isn't something to discuss in public. Right now, the cleanest way to keep family life tidy and public life breathable is to decline the escalation. There's also the kids' first principle. 2 children growing up bicultural will one day read the archives. They'll see the jokes about accents and surfing, the serious discussions about online safety, the quiet choices about home and travel. A parent's job is to give them stability now and options later. Every door left undramatically open is a gift to a future version of the family. Final thought for this chapter. In a world that treats citizenship like a verdict, it's brave to treat it like a tool. One you pick up only when it helps you build the life you want without breaking everything around it. For the moment, the best tool is restraint. And restraint is not indecision, it's precision. Knowing which door to leave unopened until the room behind it is worth the walk.